Hey guys, welcome back to another Real Chill Conversation episode. Hi ladies.
Hey y'all.
Oh,
How you guys
good
doing today?
evening. I'm doing wonderful. Good evening, everybody.
Good
Hey,
evening,
I'm
good evening. So we're
And
back with another amazing topic today. Um, we would like to dive in and discuss about divorce. Um, Lately, I have been seeing on social media about this famous couple, Tia and Corey, and they've been together for 14 years. And now they're getting a divorce. So I was basically just thinking about how many marriages have broken up over the past 2 years, really honestly, when the pandemic started. So I want us to dive in and talk about, what are some things that could have happened to a happy home, a happy marriage that could have made them separate in the past 2 years when the pandemic started. Could have been because of like stress of what was going on. Could have been, just everybody being home at the same time. Kids are not in school. Like, what could have been the honest reason why everybody is getting a divorce now? So let's, dive in and talk about it. Brennan, you're muted.
With the situation with Tia and Corey, I've seen Tia making a lot of posts about it's her season, it's her time, which lends me to believe that perhaps she felt like she was in a situation where she was making sacrifices in the relationship that were not benefiting. They were not mutually beneficial to both her and Corey. Perhaps they were just beneficial to Corey. Now, we know her as a working actress. He's a working actor. They have two kids. She's got her little side hustle things that she does, her cooking shows, and her home care line and things like that. And it just seemed like her social media posts were more and more about her doing for herself and taking care of herself and taking time for herself. And when you've been together for 14 years and you're both in the industry, I mean, obviously you have to make accommodations for your working schedule, your filming schedule, and things like that. So maybe it was a matter of, I don't know, maybe she outgrew the relationship and realized that she outgrew the relationship because she wasn't getting the support from her husband as she was giving that support to him. When he was pursuing projects and independent TV shows, I saw him on a couple of different independent TV shows on some of these newly launched platforms and things like that. But she's got deals with Target and deals with her cooking show and things like that, and just maybe the balance just wasn't there in the relationship because everybody's like, oh my gosh, like, how did this happen? After 14 years, y'all look so,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I was thinking the same thing, Brenna, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, when does a woman know, or a man know when it's the right time to leave in a marriage? Like, when do you be fed up where it's like I have to go? This is not working no more. I try to make it work for the kids, but there's no growth in this marriage. Like, when do you feel like that? Like, can you give me like any input? Like, Dominic, give me input. Like, as a woman, and I know you're going through your stuff as well. When would you feel like it's a good time just to say enough is enough?
one of the things that really stuck out to me in a marriage is if their happiness is coming out of your expense. So at that point, no one can make you happy. You have to make yourself happy. So if you're not happy with yourself, then how could you be happy in a marriage, let alone? So you want somebody to add to your happiness, basically. And notice how I said add.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
that's true.
different.
That's true. And I can say, as a divorced woman, um, I knew it was time for me to leave my ex-husband because I can tell we both was not happy in the marriage, and I felt like I had to be there for the sake of I didn't want my kids to grow up grow up without a father. Especially as an African American woman, you always hear people say, "Oh, you're a statistic because you have 3 kids and you're not married." And it's like, no, I was married. I'm just raising my kids alone. You see what I mean? So that was one of my reasons why I think I stayed in my marriage for so long, because I didn't want my kids to grow up without their father in the household. But we both knew that our marriage was coming to an end, because once again, it was no growth between us. It was growth between each other, like individually, but in between us together as a whole, there was no growth. So I can totally agree what Brenna was saying about Tia and her husband Corey as well, when you start going the opposite way.
And another thing I want to say is not being able to see the good in your partner anymore.
That's true. I agree. I agree with that. I agree. And it's
I
so sad
think
because,
that's when you know that it's not reconcilable.
yeah, yeah, that is true. That is true. Natalie, do you have something to say? Even though I know you're not married, Natalie, but you have anything you want to say about this topic about Tia and her husband Corey?
I feel like most marriages are, it's not just about the love, it's also about the business aspects as well. So when it does become, it's more like it's a burden than an asset. I feel like that might have been what happened there. It's like she was, a little more, she was kind of more of a crutch to him, especially in the beginning stages. So I don't know. I mean, once everything kind of caught up and they're both like boom, 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 moving, that seems like it would be a lot to keep up with. But
And
I think the main thing is making, if you're not making it a habit to keep the other person included in like everything, then you're just gonna grow apart.
and Natalie, I'm glad you said that because it makes me think that the marriage is an investment.
Hmm.
See
It's
how
definitely
people
an
invest in
investment.
their own business? They have to do
Yes.
a lot of things to get
Yes.
there and be successful. That's how it is in a marriage.
Yep.
And good point, Dominique, because one thing, when you're investing, it takes years to invest in something great. You can't start off 10 years down the line and try to make it great. It's going to crumble. You have to start from the very beginning, when it happens, to the middle, to the end, and to death do you part. A lot of men and women, they wait till your spouse is about to walk out the door to really fully invest, but there's no more investment in there because your partner, mentally, physically, and spiritually, is already detached from you. So it's just too late. You can't get that person back. You see what I mean? So that's why it's always good from the very beginning of any relationship, any partnership, any business. You start doing it the right way and investing the right way, and you'll see it grow from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, and talking about that. I am, I don't want to say a child of divorce, because I was 18 when my parents decided to separate and divorce, and I was a freshman in college at the time. And I remember my mom calling me at school and telling me to still come home for Thanksgiving. And by the way, I'm divorcing your dad. And I was like, what? Huh? Say that again? Like, where did this come from? But her and I have had conversations about this, and we had a conversation about it not too long after I had come home for Thanksgiving break, and we still have the most awkward Thanksgiving family dinner I've ever experienced in my life, because the awkwardness was in the air, because it was now out in the open that my parents were getting a divorce. Now, mind you, my dad did not want the divorce. He fought it. He did not want it. He tried all kinds of ways to woo and reconcile with my mom, and she was done. She was done. She was done. She was done. And what she told me was that she reached her decision, and then she put the balls in motion to prepare herself for being able to leave. So both my parents were working. So it's not like my mom was a stay-at-home mom and depended on my dad upon income and all of that. She had the income and all of that. But she did say she wanted to wait until my sister and I were old enough for her to make the decision and to make the choice. And we're like, you should have done this a long time ago. Like you would have been, you could have had, 10 extra years of this happy, prosperous, blessed woman that you are right now. My mom has a glow that is upon her that has not left since she's been without my dad in her life. But the timing of it is she realized and she recognized that there was no growth in the relationship and he could not meet her love language. He couldn't communicate and he could not understand what it was that she said she needed from him. And she would repeatedly try to put it to him 10,000 different ways and he just wasn't getting it. He just wasn't getting it. And it was only making my mom more and more and more unhappy and more miserable. And it did have an impact on my sister and I when we saw my mom unhappy, but we didn't know what the reason was. We didn't know what was going on. Yeah, we saw them argue and have fights and things like that, but we didn't know that it had got to the point where, okay, my marriage is over, I'm done. And it was very interesting that my dad did not want the divorce. And in a conversation that my parents had on the phone right before I got married, my dad said to my mom that he thought the marriage was like 98% great. And my mom was like, what? Like all the times I was telling you that this is what I needed and you didn't do this enough and we would, we didn't spend time together, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. Like how off could you be? But his
Yeah.
memory is telling him that the marriage was 98% great. And she's like, do you think I'd be filing for divorce if our marriage was 98% great?
Exactly, Brenda. Exactly.
Like
That's true.
I didn't really understand. I didn't really see what the problem is. And then my mom was like, exactly. You never saw what the problem was. You never acknowledged, you never said that you understood that there's an issue. My wife is unhappy. We don't have a healthy relationship. We do not need to be together. That never entered his mind. And to this day, he still thinks that the marriage was 98% fine. He doesn't see any reason why they should have been divorced. He's now remarried, of course, because he's one of those men that can't stay by himself. He's got to have a wife. It does something to his ego and something to his, feeling as a person, I guess. I don't know. But yeah,
But
that's
Brenda, I can't relate to your mother because that was me. I was that woman that was going to stay married to my ex-husband for the sake of my kids, just so they can have a father in the household. But when I went to counseling, and you guys know how I feel about counseling, I'm an advocate for it. Um, my counselor told me, don't be a doormat for anybody and know your worth. Um, and so by me speaking with her, it really opened my eyes to what I let happen in my marriage and what I should not have let happen in my marriage. And I made a choice to divorce. And it was the best choice for me because, like you said, when you divorce, it's just something about it when you know you were not in a healthy marriage. When you get out of that marriage, oh my God, you have a glow to you. It's like your life changed. It's like you do more. Like I travel more. Like I'm going to Jamaica on Friday. You see what I mean? I couldn't do all that type of stuff when I was married because my ex did not like to travel. You see what I mean? So it's like I felt like I couldn't do certain things out of respect for him. But once you divorce, like I said, a toxic person, you see the glow all over your face because it's like you're not buried down with their negative energy and that toxic energy and what they're going through and their baggage that they're carrying. You don't have to carry that no more. You let that go once you let that person go. And it's the best feeling ever because
And
now they have to deal with that on their own.
Edwina, I'm glad you brought that into like some people they say, oh, we have relationship problems, but most of the time people bring the problems that they have with themselves into the relationship.
That's true, Dominique.
So
That's so
now it
true.
creates resentment, anger, emotional issues, and that's just a bigger problem that you have right there.
And
yeah,
then you're trying to help them with the issues and the baggage that they brought into our marriage.
right.
And that's not good because we're going through our own stuff with our finances, our kids, our jobs. We have other stuff we have going on. I
So,
don't want more baggage onto that.
and that also makes a person feel, well, is it me? Am I not worth it? Am I not good enough? No, it's not you. It's that person. So just know that. I just
Yeah.
wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's so true. I'm glad you said that. Nat, you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, y'all are making some good points. I just feel like every relationship is so different, but you have to be real with yourself, because if you're not real with yourself and you're just trying to appease, the other person, or, look out for the kids and whatnot, you're just going to be bottled up and just holding it in till one day you're just going to explode. So you just got to be real with yourself. If you're not happy in a situation and if they're not meeting your expectations, especially after you're trying to explain it over and over, men just have a harder time, understanding. They're not natural nurturers. They're not naturally emotional people. So sometimes you feel like, dang, you got to try to pull it out of them, when really they should be giving you that regardless. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's just not. You're not ever going to get something out of someone that you had to even question to begin with. If they have it, they have it. If it's in them, it's in them. But most of the times you have to figure that out through everyday real life experiences.
And Natalie, sometimes you have to also, I just want to add this in there. Sometimes you do have to walk away from people that you love to find peace within yourself,
Yep.
especially if you're in a very toxic relationship.
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
too that,
that doesn't mean you want to destroy them or you want to destroy your family,
No,
you know?
Right.
no. But you can't, I think that, because women are on the more nurturing side, it's just in our nature. We also give the benefit of the doubt, especially to our partner. And when you're in a long-term relationship, there's a lot of things that you may just deal with or you can see to because you've been with that person for a long time and you don't really know any different because of the length of time that you've been with them. But when you get to a point when you have to dim your light to make the other person happy, and dim your light so that the other person can shine, then you're in a situation where y'all have, it just, there should be flashing yellow lights and flashing red lights that there's a problem with this relationship. I should not have to not be myself and not be who I am and not pursue my passion and follow my dreams and do all the things that make me happy as a person and the things that make me who I am. I should not have to sacrifice that and to stop any of that just to make my significant other happy.
Brenda, and some people do that. They change themselves
They
to please
do.
somebody else, and then you end up not being happy with yourself because that's not you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Versus just being yourself and having that person love you, for who you are.
Right. Which is how it should be. You should love me for who I am and all the things that come with me, all the things that I enjoy doing. You should not have a problem with these things that bring me joy. Why would you want to steal my joy?
Now, if it's toxic, that's a different story. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're paying attention to your partner, whether, whatever, if you're really paying attention, you'll know when something's not right. Like, you can't tell. Like, you can't tell I got this attitude. But you'll know, like, in the grand scheme of things, when it's something really seriously, you just have to see those signs, because most of the times guys are the ones that are like blindsided by it. And it's like, where you been this whole time? Women, we know, we be there, we be trying to make sure everything's laid out and perfect for our man. And then when something's not right, we be like, oh shit, okay, it's off a little bit. Let's try to correct this. Let's try to pivot. But it just depends on how worth it is to you.
And I do also believe that some people marry too early.
Yes, I can totally agree on that. When you don't take the time to really know somebody and know their flaws, and to figure out if you want to accept them flaws as well. So I can vouch and say yes, that's true.
Somebody said the real problem is people get married for the wrong reason in the first place. Marriage is not boyfriend and girlfriend tying the knot. Marriage is two people bringing their separated lives together for the rest of their lives and work to make each other happy.
I agree. I agree. I totally agree with that.
You have to marry for the right reasons. And I think you have to really understand the decision and the commitment that you're making. I don't think anybody that makes a decision to get married makes a decision to get married with the idea of divorce in mind. There may be some people that are like, oh, well, if it doesn't work out, we can always get an annulment. We can always get a divorce. There may be some people that have that mindset, but y'all don't need to be getting married in the first place if that's the first thing that comes to your mind. But with that being said, I don't believe in staying in a situation that is not healthy for you. It's not working for you. It's not making you happy. It's not bringing you joy. I do not think that you should stay in a marriage just for the sake of the kids, because kids know when you're unhappy. Kids know when you're miserable. Kids know when you're sad. Kids know when you're depressed. They pick up on that. And if that's what the emotions that are leaking out of your body and leaking out in your personality because you're unhappy in your marriage, then you need to get out. You need to get out. If
Yeah.
you tried your best, if you've done all you could to try to remedy the situation and nothing is working, then it's time to get out.
And
That's true.
sometimes you could be married, and I mean, just if it fails, just take your lessons away because it was a lesson in that you were supposed to learn.
Yeah.
I did my research and I learned that, your second marriage is not as successful, and then the third one is just goes down even more. But if you take the lessons and you see what it is that you have to change within yourself, I truly believe that you can have a successful marriage.
Yes, that is true. That's what my counselor told me because she actually got remarried twice. And she said that she took the lessons from her first marriage
Mhm.
and changed everything around. So when she got married to her new husband, it'll be successful. And they've been married for like 20 years now in a good marriage.
So let me tell you all, because they said the second marriage was 67%. Well, yeah, and the third marriage was 74%. So that's what the research said.
He said it takes some few times to get it right. Yeah, I don't feel like
I guess three times is a charm, Natalie.
yeah, I don't feel like
But if you write down, like Edwina has written down her affirmations and stuff like that. And I feel like some people sell their self short sometimes because you can really talk it into existence, and there are still people out here that is for you. You
definitely.
might have not met them yet.
Yes, yes, yes. I have a list in every journal of what I would like my future husband to be, and I got into details this time of what I would like, and hopefully what he would like out of me as well. So
I
this
watched
time around is totally different.
I
And
watched
she's not selling herself short. Just nope,
Nope, nope,
nope.
nope. I'm not doing that. And one thing I did write down is that I would like to have my new husband to be very understanding and compassionate about my feelings, because that's one thing I did not receive in my first marriage.
Mhm.
And that's one thing I really wanted my ex-husband to understand, but he couldn't. My emotions was considered as weak to him, and I didn't want that for my new husband.
Viola Davis did an interview with Oprah Winfrey, and she said that she literally wrote down everything that she wanted in a man and in a husband, and she got it. She said that, and Oprah was like, "Wow, you manifested it," and she's like, "I sure did. I
Yeah.
wrote it down and I prayed on it and I manifest on it, and I have my absolutely perfect spouse that I could have either, he's everything I've ever wanted and more.
Yeah,
So it works.
yeah. It does work, you
Mhm.
know. And
What
write a letter. Write a letter to your future husband if you want to, and then keep him tucked away. So when you do find him, give all your letters to him.
You just have to remember to number one, stay true to yourself. Remember
Yeah.
that you are the priority and that you do come first, and that you should not have to sacrifice your happiness, your peace, and your joy for the sake of someone else, or just for the sake of trying to keep the calm in the house. So don't lose that.
And if
That's
you, I'm sorry, go ahead,
okay.
Brenda.
No, I was just gonna say you don't ever want to lose that. You don't ever want to lose that piece of yourself and that part of yourself. You should not have to stop being who you are just to make somebody else happy.
And if you do become, if you are a person from a broken like background, like as far as when you grew up and stuff like that, a lot of people hold that stuff inside of them. So then they try to kind of, whether they know it or not, their partner is the one receiving all of this. So you want to make sure that you do fix yourself first.
Yep.
Like you have to fix yourself, because you could be putting all that burden on your partner and making them pay for something that they didn't do anything to you.
I was just saying that the other day. I was like, I can be real gentle with myself and others, or I can be rough as hell. But whichever one you're getting from me is based off of the energy that I'm receiving from you, because I'm just matching that and I'm putting that back out. If you're coming,
The energy and the vibe is definitely, that's so important.
if
So
you're coming
important.
gentle, okay, I'm coming. We can work with this. It just depends.
And like Dominique said, that's not fair for you to be in a relationship with somebody and then they're putting on their baggage, what they went through with their childhood. That's something that they need to deal with before they even get into a relationship, let alone a marriage, because they're going to always bring up, well, I was raised like this, and I didn't have my mother love me this way, and I didn't have a father in my life. And let me say this, and I'm going to just say this out and to clear the air. There are some respectable, successful men that are great fathers that did not have father figures in their life, but know how to treat their wives the right way and their kids the right way. Okay. I understand everybody was not raised without a father, but at the end of the day, you know how to treat your wife. You know how to treat your children. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Well,
get
we'll
help.
say they know what's right from wrong
Yes,
eventually.
exactly.
Because I mean,
Exactly.
I think we all know that naturally, right?
Exactly. I don't want to hear, oh, I cheated on my spouse just because I didn't have a father. That's not a good enough excuse for me, because cheating is wrong. Because if your spouse cheats on you, how would you feel? You see what I mean? Everybody has free will, but everybody knows what it feels like to be cheated on as well.
Yeah,
You
and
see
you're
what I mean?
breaking that other person down to the point where eventually, I think when it comes to emotions in a divorce, it's up to that person, because you can't tell someone, oh, you need to leave or you need to stay. I mean, you can, but eventually that person is going to do whatever they feel like doing. Like if you're in an abusive marriage, then yes, like I would tell you, yeah, you probably need to, leave, because of course, who wants to be in an abusive situation? But when it comes to feelings and emotions, it's up to that person. And sometimes that's why it takes a person so long to leave someone, is where I want to get to. Um, because they have lowered their standards and things, you know what I'm saying, to kind of meet the lifestyle of that person, forgetting about themselves.
Yes,
But it does
I
take
understand what you're saying,
time.
Dominique.
It does take time, especially with people be like, oh, she been with him for 16 years. Why get divorced now? Well, maybe she just found out what her worth. Maybe You know what I'm saying? She was
Good
just giving
point.
all her time
Good
and
point.
focus to a relationship that was not even there.
And you know what, Dominique? You can be with somebody for 20 years. It's when God or the big man upstairs open your eyes for you to really see what's going on. He may have you in a relationship for 16 or 18 years or 20 years for a reason, because that might be your season. And then when your season is over, like you said, you learned from it, you move on, you improve. You see what I mean? So it's good if a person finally wakes up and realizes, man, I've been married for 20 years and I lower my vibration and my standards to fit the needs of my spouse because I really wanted my marriage to work. Now it's time for me to elevate. Now it's time for me to be that rising phoenix out of the ashes and spread my wings and fly and be very successful.
My parents were married for 20 something years. 20 something years, and nobody understood it. Nobody understood why the divorce was happening and all of that. And my mom was telling me that she had a very difficult time trying to get her family to understand, because she came from a generation of we don't do divorce.
Right.
Black people, we don't do divorce. That's not what we do. You just figure it out. If you
But
got
when you come out of a toxic marriage, I think most people would be happy and you will see that glow. And I guess all of these things are the things that you were missing. You know, this should have told you, it's telling you you're good now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Somebody
right.
said at the end of the day, most women see these problems and still accept them because they feel they can help that man.
right.
Motherly instinct kicks in, and
Yes,
it's hard for her to determine
yes.
sympathy from long-term emotional sickness. I totally agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I totally agree too. Because
yeah.
that's what we do. We take on the motherly role, especially when somebody said, oh, I didn't have a mother figure or a father figure in my life. And we figure, oh, we can change them, we can help them, we can save them, but we can't. And to
And you
get back
could
what
be the total package and it's
yeah,
still not going to be saved.
no, exactly. But to get back to what you were saying, Dominic, a minute ago about your family,
Yeah.
um, I didn't know. My family knew I was miserable. I didn't want to tell them. They knew, but I didn't think they knew. So when I finally told my family I was getting divorced, they were like, "Oh, thank God," because they knew. I just was trying to hide it because I wanted to have a perfect marriage. But
Mhm.
my family knew all along. They knew my worth, and they told me that. They was like, "We knew he wasn't right for you, but we accepted him because we knew you loved him." And I was like, dang, okay. But your family always know. They know.
Yeah. And then I think I hear a lot,
Yeah.
oh, it took me years to get out of the marriage. And I hear a lot of people saying, you know, I should have done it sooner
Hmm.
because
Yep,
they finally see everything that was going on
yep,
in the marriage.
Every person that I have had a conversation with that is either going through a divorce or has gotten divorced and been divorced has always made the statement, I should have done it sooner. I think they all, on reflection, look back and realize and recognize the signs and the flags and the warnings that were there for a significant amount of time. But for whatever reason, they disregarded them. They ignored them. They thought that, okay, maybe I just need to give it a little more time and this person is going to change and they're going to change, for the better. And then we're going to be good. And then when you reach your point of no return and you've made that decision, like, you know what, I've taken as much as I can. I cannot take it anymore. This needs to end. We're done. A lot of them, when you have that conversation with them, they're like, I would have done it sooner. I should have done it sooner. And I could have done it sooner. I just chose not to.
Listen,
that's me, Brenda.
a marriage only changes your last name. It does not change that person' bad habits. You know,
And you got to file the legal documents and
there
change your last name, honey, too. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, and let me tell you, and divorce is expensive. Okay,
it is.
but it's worth every penny, y'all. When
Somebody
you're
said,
free.
yes,
Maddie look laughing. I'm
sometimes,
saying, well, when you're free, it's worth. That $6,000 is nothing when you're free from a
somebody,
toxic marriage.
somebody says sometimes you have to stop focusing on saving the marriage and start preparing for life after marriage.
That's a
That's true.
great comment.
That's
That's
a
a
good
great comment.
advice.
That's
Yeah,
good advice.
yeah, for real.
I should have did that 6 years ago. Let me
Yeah.
stop. But I can honestly say my kids are my biggest blessing out of my marriage. I can honestly say that. I hate how my
Absolutely.
marriage ended the way it did, but my kids are my greatest blessing out of my marriage to my ex-husband.
That's wonderful. I mean, kids are a blessing no matter what. And if there's a takeaway from divorce, it should be, that, hey, we might not have worked out, but we made these, beautiful children together. And hopefully, your divorce is such that it allows you to be in a position to continue to raise those children together and to co parent efficiently and to be on pleasant terms and for there not to be a whole lot of, you know,
Britta,
frustration.
that's a whole nother topic. Co-parenting is a topic by itself. Let me tell you.
That may be my next topic.
That may have to be the next topic because co-parenting is not I'm not trying to be funny. It's not easy at all.
No,
It's so funny because it's like the main person that messed up the marriage is the main person that gives you hell about co-parenting. Why
I'm,
is that?
I'm
And
sure.
the one that has been doing everything right in the marriage, that has been civilized and trying to co-parent, is no issues with.
Right.
So backwards.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna give them an easy way to co-parent.
What is that, Dominique?
Stay out of each other's business.
Yes.
Yep. Well, when you get a divorce, they make you take parenting classes, and that's actually one of the questions they put in there. You have to stay out of each other's business. When it's time for his weekend, let him have the kids. When it's time for your weekend, let you have the kids. Do individual things. So that is true, Dominique, with
Yeah, you don't
co-parenting.
have to be calling me every 5 minutes telling me what
Exactly.
you did and when little Lisa, baby Lisa did. You're gonna be calling me every 5 minutes telling me what's going on. It's your weekend. You are the other parent.
And I will not be calling you.
And I will not be calling you. Yes.
No, but also a good tip though. I do want to close out with this on my statement. You can always find someone, better that suits you and what you're wanting out of a marriage. So don't even trick yourself to think you cannot. Um, your experiences, if you can take them as lessons, definitely don't have to go into your new marriage. And you can avoid all that emotional distress in your new marriage because you definitely don't want to take it from one to the next one. That's all.
I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I agree. So, in my closing statement, I'm going to say that I did not get married with the intention of getting divorced. But if for whatever reason things just are not lining up and the relationship is too toxic and it's unhealthy, then divorce is the remedy. It is the remedy and it's the route that I would go because I'm not going to sacrifice myself for the sake of someone else. And I'm not going to sacrifice my children's happiness and their ability to thrive for staying in a marriage that's unhealthy because that's not doing anything but showing them what an unhealthy relationship is. And that's not what I want to teach my children. I want my children to understand how a woman should treat a man and how a man should treat a woman the right way. So if you stay in a marriage and y'all are mistreating each other and it's not healthy and it's not toxic, you're doing your children a disservice. If it's not working, then get out.
I totally agree with that.
Yep, I agree with you, Brenda. Kids know.
Yep, they know.
Yeah, at the
Matt,
end
you
of
want
the
to say
day,
something?
you just have to put yourself first. And that's just the bottom line.
Well, I was going to say the same thing as my closing statement. Put
Mhm.
yourself first. Know your worth. If you're in
Mhm.
a toxic relationship, get out. Get out, because there's going to be somebody out there better for you. And that's it. All right, ladies.
Well,
Thank
all
you for
right.
another great conversation. And I must say, for the last couple of weeks, we've been coming strong with some good conversation, guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
we
thank
have.
you.
We
Yeah.
have.
Thank you for another great conversation. Hopefully, we get that co-parent conversation coming in soon.
Yes.
But
It'll be in the rotation. We got
yes,
Mhm.
a
in the
rotation. We
rotation.
got topics. We got backup topics, and we got topics after that. So I'm
Yeah.
sure it's going to come up in the rotation here shortly.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm ready for them. All right, ladies. Well, like I said, thank you so much for another great episode.
All
Until next
right.
time, you guys be blessed. All right.
Good
Bye,
night.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.